Oh my god.
That's fine. Here are the map cards. We have our audience. Okay. Alrighty. Well, first I want to start this presentation by talking about the Greek monster Hydra. For those of you who don't know, Hydra is a beast that has 5 heads. You cut off one and 2 grow back in its place. Seems like it's a beast that's impossible to kill. Now think about that, except for every person in this room, double that person. And then for each of those people, double each of those people. That continues on in our real life situation. That is overpopulation. That is what we are dealing with in this current society. In third world countries, first world countries, you name it. It seems blatantly unstoppable. One thing that a few things I'm going to discuss today is how this is even possible and the amount of strain that it puts on our most important resource, water. And the ways that we can slow it down. It may seem unstoppable, but we'll find a way to make it to calm this problem. So first, I'd like to speak about third world countries. Countries that don't have medical or their medical needs met, or their educational systems aren't the best. The reason I bring these two things up is because in those third world countries, their birth rate and their fertility rates are the highest, because most women are don't have access to contraceptives. They don't have birth control. It's basically they don't have an option. But if they have relations, they have to have this child. And with that in mind, because they don't know of these medicines, and because they can't have them, well, they're stuck at home and they're caring for a child. Not to say that's a poor thing. Having a family is one of the greatest things anyone can have. But it takes away from their education, and it limits especially women from their education. Not only that, but even during their cultures, it's already limited. Limited education equals more chance that you're going to have a bigger family. And as time continues, that's what happens. We just all begin to multiply. And like I said before, family is great. Family is one thing that pushed me to continue working in school, to work in general. It's what brought us all here today. But to have a family is a great responsibility, and you can't fulfill that responsibility if you don't have the proper resources to even feed or bathe or even give your son or daughter something to drink. With greater population, there's a higher demand. With a higher demand, there's less resources. And that goes for anything. It goes for food, that goes for wood, that goes for anything that you need. Everything depletes over time. By the way that we're constantly growing at a steady rate, the earth is unable to continue fulfilling what our multiplying needs. So, and according to the United Nations, the most thing that we need to worry about is water. Because according to the United Nations, every year our water demands increase by 64 million cubic meters. And if you're trying to picture that, well, you can imagine that this whole room is filled to our necks with gallons of water. And you continue multiplying that throughout the years. Not only that, but as an article, on its own, the Earth doesn't have that much water. So on the article that I found, I believe it's called the How Much Water There Is on Earth Above, Underground, and Within Earth. Our Earth only the water makes up only 71% of Earth. So I want you to hold up your hands real quick. And I want you guys to pretend that your hand is the 71%. Now I want you to look at your pinky fingernail. If you look at it, at this type of scale, this is the amount of water that we have that is accessible to us. It's the only water that anyone, any company wants to look for because it's the most accessible. Overall, there are multiple, despite, okay, let me describe this to you guys. Despite the look of such a grim future for us, as our population just exceeds any rate, there are ways for us to solve these problems. While having a child of your own may be the best feeling in the world, I interviewed my professor, my environmental science professor from last semester. His name is Professor John Keller. Professor John Keller agreed, along with many of his other environmentalists, that adoption is one way that you can help slow down this growing population. Not only are you able to allow the slowing of this population growth, you're also able to invite someone to your home and give them something that they've never had before. You're creating a new life while saving the Earth's life. I find that a win-win situation. Not only, and one of the biggest things that they described to me, as far as Professor John Keller did on my interview, he said the one thing that everyone should do in order to conserve this Earth is simply conserve water. Cut down your showers, turn off your sprinklers. It's simple to stop the degradation of the world, even as we continue to increase. So overall, despite this looking grim, and despite this looking as if it's a lost cause, there are ways to slow this process. And let us not forget that Hydra was a beast that seemed impossible to slay. But once we got to the root of the problem, even he can be slain. I didn't Alrighty. And I'm just gonna show you guys real quick. Joss, you need to stand? I'm sorry. The cards.